we haven't touched on this yet, Jeremy, but in this winner breaks format, if a player can work out the break, winning the lag could be a really big advantage.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you want to be the first one to get that chance to put a, you know, a beat on your score line and get yourself started, break the balls first, get a little feeling at the table. Looks pretty thin here on the 2. And he's elevated, so he's trying to see if he does bank the 2, excuse me, cut the 2, where can he really run the cue ball? It looks like now he's going to take on the bank shot. And any of these banks, cross corner or long rail banks, whenever they're just kind of sitting really nice, he decided to play pretty safe here early. I don't think he's left a gap. It would appear there's a gap, but I think the 9's in the way. If not, he should get the best of this if he can get through at this 2 ball. Now, this is the type of kick shot, if you're trying to come underneath it, could easily give up a shot, but you might not get a rail if the 2 comes up into the 4. Oh, nice hit there. Really superb.
And with that being repetitive, that's just what you expect from the Filipinos. The kicking kings.
Yeah, and they adjust to that quicker than others, it seems. You know, we've seen a lot of top players that really struggle kicking, especially the 2-rail kick on the slick table. Now Koping-Yi to go to the air here early. Won't try to make this. He's going to try and, I think, just kind of bang it around table. Try and make the cue ball go forward a little bit. Looks like he's trying to size up, maybe banking it straight back down at the 9. I like the jump shot, even though I think there's a lot of ways you could sell out, but it's the type of kick shot you could miss. So a little more guaranteed hit here. Yeah, he got a kiss, but it was a friendly one.
.32 tables being used here. And at 10 o'clock this morning, local time, when play began, matches in 3 different rounds began. This is the only winners' qualification match currently taking place. But we have plenty of matches in losers round 1, or should I say losers round 2 and 3.
Yeah, trying to create a little luck, bringing the cue ball towards the pile. Got a friendly roll, and I think you're going to see the short cue again here from Koping-Yi. No reason not to jump at this. Talk about the jump cue so much, but these guys kick so well also. One thing that would keep him from jumping at this, well, a couple things. First off, the stretch that he just showed us, but also is a realistic position on the 3. The kick shot's not bad because you're kicking the 2 towards congestion. But he's going to go with the jump. Now I wonder if he maybe goes for this or if he tries to bang it around the table with a full hit on the 2. I think he'll go for the make. I don't know. He didn't really line it up like he's going to try and make it. Yeah, you see he's trying to bring it around table in some manner. Now our first open shot for these 2, and nothing easy, just because position's kind of difficult.
You say, Jeremy, nothing easy. Nothing's been easy for Johann Chua, even though he's won 2 matches out of 2 so far. He's had 2 tough opponents in Brandon Schuff and Nikos Economopoulos. Defeated Schuff 9-6 and was very comfortable against the Greek Economopoulos, the former Mosconi Cup player. He won that 9-2. So clearly, he's in stroke.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of like how Chua is. When he shows up, he's going to be in stroke. And touchy little shot here trying to float over. Thought he may consider kind of spinning the cue ball a couple rails for the 4 in the lower right corner. This one here has got to have a nice touch coming across. Can't afford to hit the 7. And I was a little worried about that. I don't know if he came away with a clear shot or not. That's why I thought he may put a little low right on that and just go to that rail and then spin the cue ball a couple rails underneath the 4 and 6 for the pink in the lower right. And now first kind of dilemma for Johann Chua. Now what happens here, especially the slick conditions, is you'll look at a shot like this and you'll feel like, man, I can hit this slowly, kind of make it grab a little bit, and I think still make this ball. But the slick conditions, very easy to overcut it. It's not like your pool room table. Now he's going to go to the jump cue. One of the most difficult jumps to where you have to, fly at a certain amount of distance and then get it down quickly over another ball. If the 6 was much closer to the cue ball, this would actually be a lot easier jump shot. Easy to fly this one off the table, believe it or not. Might have to land on the pink 4.
Cue ball close. Oh, dear me. The worst possible outcome. Look at these balls here. Copigny jumping out of his chair with glee.
No real problems here. Ball in hand, of course, a high percentage run out for all these players. Should just stun above, excuse me, stun above the 8. A little stun draw. Get pretty straight on the 5. And you can see pretty easy cue ball movement from here with all 4 remaining balls after the 5 on this end of the table. I think we're going to start to see some things change, though, as far as the tournament itself. I mean, we're going to have some break and runs, but I think we're going to have a lot more of that battling for the first shot like we saw at the European Open.
Yes, the European Open was a massive success. There's a new 3-year deal been signed between Matchroom and the city of Fulda to go back there for another 3 stagings of that terrific tournament. Next year's event, August 8 to 13 at the Hotel Esperanto. And already, the entry list has been completely filled.
Yeah, and of course, you being from England, but me being from Texas, I'm happy to hear it's still in August. It's not in the winter.
Yeah, can get cold over there. It's not been cold here, and the queue of Copigny has not been cold this year. He's won a couple of big tournaments in Romania and more recently in Singapore, and you get the feeling he could go deep here. The biggest one of the lot, the US Open in Atlantic City, New Jersey. So what about the other early scores? Well, I was talking about Nikos Economopoulos. He's taken the first rack from Pedro Botta. Left terrace, Georgiou and Marco Schutter, 1-1. These are all in losers round 2 matches. Mika Immonen, former champion of the US Open, he's 1-1 with Dang Fan Kien. And Ko Ping Han of Chinese Taipei quickly is 3-0 up on the UK's Elliot Sanderson.
Well, the man in your screen, I think, is, was away from the game, him and his brothers, during the pandemic. Didn't see him much. Of course, that was always regrettable not having these guys at the tournament. But I think he's in great form. I think he played great at the World Cup of Pool, to be honest with you. To be fair, I think his brother has struggled this year, Ko Ping Chung, and hopefully he's sorted away certain little things that he was having problems with. But it's a fickle sport. You know, you can feel like things are going right. It doesn't take much to be off, but both the guys at the table in this match, I don't think we're going to see many mistakes.
Ko Ping Chung plays in the winners' qualification round in around an hour and a half's time, taking on a possible Moscone Cup player, Shane Walford, who, of course, Jeremy, you know well.
Yeah, Shane, he's had a few stumbles there in a few events. Didn't play his best pool, but tried to get it back in order, regroup, or work on a few things, and he's done pretty well so far here this week. I may have to roll out near the, behind the 9 here for a long jump. Could roll out for the jump on behind the 5. But that's a little more head-on jump, and I don't think he'll get it back. And that's what he's going to do. He's going to push behind the 5, and I think Chua will take this. Don't think he's going to give it back. Now, he didn't roll as close to the 5 as I thought he would, so he's going to go ahead and pass it. I think if he rolls that another 6 or 8 inches closer to the 5, a little closer to the 2, I think Chua maybe takes this on. Of course, the Ko brothers, especially Ko Ping Yi, one of the best with the short cue. One heck of a shot, and really kind of unfortunate not to get a little better position on the 3. And I don't know if you can tell already, Phil. I could tell as soon as I entered the arena this morning. A little different feeling for me anyways, just because today's the day. Today's the day where you put yourself in position to get to that single elimination and give yourself a real legitimate chance at this title. The last few days, you could hear a little bit of joking between the guys, a little more laughter. Even the fans know how important today is.
Yeah, in many respects, it's wages day. You can cash a check if you do well today.
Well, as you and Carl like to say, that it's the business end of things getting started here, I think, when you start to get and talk about that single elimination.
Very delicate shot here because the cue ball and the red 3 were so close together, but he judged the bank ideally. And now the table at his mercy again.
Yeah, and what he's worried about here, without going very slowly, he almost has to contact a little piece of the 7. If he puts any speed into this, now maybe he can get by with just a straight ball and kind of creep by the 7 for the 5 in the side. He's got to hit it slowly, though. Now he's going to draw into the 7. He's not going to take any chances. Oh, no, he's dragging it, and he got by it. Nice shot.
There's no doubt you're right, Jeremy. The level of intensity has been cranked up, and look at these winners' qualification matches we've got coming up. Carlo Biardo against Jovan Bustamante, Ralph Suka against Alex Pagulayan, Jason Shaw against Robbie Capito, Levan Cortez against Wojciech Szewczyk, as Ko Ping Yi almost scratches. That was a very expensive mistake, potentially.
Yeah, a little bit of a quick delivery. He really didn't let the draw take. And that's what you have to do out on the slick table. It wants to slide just a hair before it grabs. And anytime you add more speed, you have a little bit more of that. I'm surprised he's even considering the side here. He's got to draw the ball here, and those diamond side pockets are no joke.
He did something there that great players do, he made something that was tricky look easy. He can be a little deceptive, can't you, when you play pool? He can go one way or the other, and that was a really high tariff shot.
Yeah, hitting the center of the pocket sure helps. And now in position, and I wonder if, you know, another jump shot comes up later, which you figure it will. It is used a lot in the rollout situation. What Johann Chua is going to think about passing on the next one.
Two 0, and Copigny has been really impressive so far. He won the Bucharest Open back in May. That was a 256-player event as well. Overcame Viktor Zielinski of Poland in the final 13-5. And much more recently, he won the Asian Open in Singapore. Beat a fellow Filipino of Johann Chua's, James Arenas, 13-11 in that final. So to win two titles of that nature in 2022, and his schedule hasn't been that intense, goes to show what a contender he is right here.
No, absolutely. I love watching him play anyway, so I kind of make sure I put a little time in, and of course being, you know, with you and Michael and Carl, and fortunate enough to watch these guys firsthand and get to discuss, but I really liked what I've seen from him all year. I think they were in position to win the World Cup. Like I said, his brother just struggled a little bit, which happens, but I haven't seen many struggles from Copigny at all. And he's another one of those guys that, you know, has the jump shot. Of course, he's a great cueist, great position player, usually figures out the break, so really no weaknesses at all.
Ko-Ping Chung wasn't the only one to struggle at the World Cup. We were struggling. It was so warm in that arena, wasn't it? In Brentwood, Essex, the hometown of Matchroom. So warm.
Okay, he may go kill this ball. He may go 3 rails around. Probably kills it. And that's one thing that I think Copigny, as far as the players, recognize for sure that maybe fans don't as much. He's a very consistent player as well. You know, once he gets that first starter, he's what I consider a lot like Alvin Ocean, just really handy with the cue ball. Everything makes sense. Isn't going to dog it, and usually just gets better and better.
What I've noticed with him as well, he's got a very calm demeanour, hasn't he? Not just on the table, but off it as well. He and his brother were with a fan yesterday as I walked in. The fan asked for their photograph with him, and they just stood there, and the guy was getting his mobile phone sorted out, and a little bit like me, finding difficulty in working the thing, but they were totally patient, smiling and just taking it easy. And I think that attribute really helps when it comes to playing pool. He's level-headed, and he doesn't encounter the emotional highs and lows.
Well, I think, you know, how I've always thought that connects to your technique, and it's the same thing in his stroke. I mean, you know, I can tell a little bit just being around him that he's a little nervous right now, but it's very hard to tell with him. His technique is so good. They understand what a good technique is and recognize when they're a little off. Just super solid, and wouldn't surprise me at all if he, you know, held that trophy come Saturday night.
Well, he's already high up in the live Nineball rankings, and a victory here would propel him into a very lofty status indeed. So 3-0 on the show table. Now we've got a few losers round 3 matches going on at the moment. Margaret Fefilova, she's 2-1 up on Mustafa Alner. Marcel Price from Wales, he's 2-0 up on Francesco Candela. Corey Jewell, a Moscone Cup stalwart for many years, he's 2-1 down to the Canadian Joe Spence. John Morra from Canada is taking on 14-year-old Riku Rompainen, and they've shared the first 2 racks. And I can tell you, Imran Majid leads Long Nguyen 2-0. The Vietnamese player who accounted for a really good Filipino and sent him home. Jeffrey De Luna yesterday. I think De Luna's exit, along with Dimitri Jungo from Switzerland, the two most surprising so far.
Yeah, definitely. Jeffrey just didn't look settled. You and I talked about that this morning, that a surprising defeat there for sure, especially just because the Vietnamese player didn't play his best prior to that, but had to play a heck of a lot better to beat Jeffrey. And I like what I'm seeing from Ko's break as well. Not really smashing him, getting that timing kind of break where he's just getting a lot of movement, really consistent one ball, tracking towards the side. But again, what we see is some variance in the layouts, a difficult 3-ball. He's going to try and, I think, go forward with a little top right, maybe get to where he can cross bank the 3, maybe cut it down the rail. And again, he has a safety option. If he had a little more angle on the 2-ball, he'd try to create a little more, I think, but little let up on the downswing there. Wouldn't have minded being a foot closer to that. Tell you what, the crossbank lays super nice, though. It looks like he's not going to play it, though. Well, maybe he is. Looks like he's going to draw the ball between the 9-8 if he goes offensive. I think he's definitely going offensive. Now, does the 4, does it pass the 5 in the upper right? That's kind of where the cue ball's wanting to go for position. And I guess it did, and Johann Chua hasn't pocketed a ball yet in this match that I can recall as a nice starter here in game 4.
Not ideal to be 3-0 down in a race to 9, of course not. But Chua's far too experienced to fall victim to panic.
Yeah, we definitely have seen some comebacks already. But the one thing about this break rule, it will remind you of your mistakes, because you're going to have to earn that comeback. It's not going to be easy. You're going to have to grind out for the first shot a lot of times, maybe some push-out situations. But not like before, where it's a lot easier to make up for some games lost. And now he's going to have to roll this in and just take a thinner cut, I think. He's looking at drawing the ball. Is he drawing back to the rail and out? He's going a couple rails. I have to shoot the 8 a little bit from the rail here, so he'll try and figure out where's best for me. What a lot of players make the mistake is they just kind of stay there with the cue ball and not realizing that drawing back, you get a little more accurate, even though you get a little thinner on the ball drawn back behind it. Like I said, when you get close to it, you can overcome that with accuracy. You overhit that a little bit, but shouldn't be a problem to get on the board here in game 4.
Yes, the duck is broken. Johann Chua now trails by 3 racks to 1. He's from Bacolod in the central Philippines. Began playing the game at the age of 9. He was originally accompanied to the local pool hall by his father, who gave him the nickname Bubwit. Apparently that translates to Little Mouse, because he was so small when he started playing, you couldn't see him because of the table. The table was in the way. But he, now at the age of 30, is one of the world's best. Full name, Johann Gonzalez Chua. And in the Southeast Asian Games in Vietnam last year, he was the singles gold medalist.
Yeah, it's a huge event there in Asia, and an event that brings all the top players. I think they have a 10-ball event as well. Our first look at him breaking the balls. Open hand bridge we talked about yesterday, and a golden break here to cut the lead.
That helps, doesn't it? We've seen quite a few of them so far. Sometimes they can catch you out, can't they? There was a moment there where I'm thinking, has it gone in? It did. Look at this. The cue ball just caressing the 9 into that centre pocket. And now the lead is only 3-2 for Ko Ping-yi. Yeah, more biographical information about Chua. He's twice won the All Japan Championship, which is a really tough tournament to win, as you know, Jeremy. And he won a big event quite close to here, actually, the Maryland 10-ball championship in 2018. Maryland, a couple of states down, I suppose, from here. Delaware, then Maryland.
That's right. Yeah, really a pretty part of the country that probably didn't get enough credit. The upper Northeast, of course, it's a busy part of the country, but a lot of nice places to go and visit, and definitely some scenery. You could see the hand go up in the air there, missing the 1 on the side. The 1 kind of shot off the rack a little different than it's been doing, kind of straight to the side rail. I think the 3 does pass the 5. The good thing is the 2 being on the bottom rail, he may be able to get kind of a short side position on the 3 if needed. This first shot's a little demanding just because the cueing is a little odd. You know, he's looking at, do I want to take the thin cut on the 2 and run the cue ball up between the 6 and 8, back down for what looks like a small pocket on the 3. I would at least contemplate trying to draw back past the 7. I know the cueing again is a little odd, but he's close enough to the 1. I feel like he'd be a big favorite even if he wanted to elevate the cue. Looks like he's going to keep it simple and just take the cut on the 2. Nothing wrong with that. And I don't think the 3 going by the 5 is that big of an issue. What I think the issue here is really managing the cue ball between the 8 and 9, and also dealing with a 6 ball that could kind of get in the way. Doesn't want to slow roll this, I wouldn't think. Now, the good thing is if he can get that decent shot on the 3, doesn't need much cue ball movement with the 4 over the opposite side. So a huge shot here early. Normally, Ko Ping-yi finds his line so well. He played it, it's a little thicker than I thought. He didn't really baby that too much, and the cue ball really didn't get away from him. So nice shot. Still not out of the woods, though, unless he wants to go forward with the cue ball here. He's going to have the wrong angle on the 4. So he may end up having to play the 5 up long by the 6 here in a moment. We'll see. First things first, the 3's tight, so don't get so involved with the cue ball.
On these pockets, no sir, no chance.
Yeah, and one of the few quick deliveries you'll see from this man. Usually doesn't get too quick with it at all, and it just caught the 3. And I think the cue ball was on his mind a lot too, going for position on the 4. So a rare mistake from the former world Nineball champion.
We could well be tied up here at 3-3, unlike Ko Ping-yee's youngest brother, Ko Ping-han, who is now 6-0 up on Elliot Sanderson on table 12.
I'm sure you can tell us. I know you can. Kind of wondering who beat the younger brother, the youngest co-brother. And Chua really paying attention to that cue ball, sweating every part of this match so far. Gonna have to play a little thinner shot on the 6 maybe, but should be okay.
The youngest co-brother, who is 23 years of age, by the way, he was beaten 9-4 by Lucas Fracasso Werner from here in the USA in the opening round.
Actually, I should have known that because I watched a little bit of it, just didn't realize it was the youngest co-brother. Yeah, he started off that match great, and then Lucas just took over and really didn't let him shoot much. Super impressed with how Lucas has played so far.
Yes, because of course, you're not just here as a commentator, Jeremy, you're here as the US Mosconi Cup captain, so you have to keep your eye on plenty of players over the course of the 6 days.
Yeah, and still trying to learn something, Phil. Seems like daily that happens in pool. Now simple 9-ball to tie this match.
So it's 2 packs of 3. Ko Ping-yee led 3-0, looked mighty good. Now though, it is 3-3 and anyone's guess who is going to progress. Let me give you some scores from losers round 2. Badr Alawadi from Kuwait, 4-0 up on the Lebanese player Rami Al-Kuba. Alan Roland Rosado from Puerto Rico, 4-0 up on Rick Miller. Nikos Economopoulos, he can't deny quality. He's 6-0 up on Pedro Botta. And Mika Immonen in a real battle against Dang Than Kien from Vietnam. It's 3-3. Over on table 2, by the way, Christina to catch, 3-1 up on young Joey Tate.
Yeah, that should be a heck of a match. I know Christina's got the best of it right now. Chua a little alarmed, not making that one on the side again. You could see him, his head raised quickly to see if anything else was going. But I'll tell you, Vietnam didn't get enough credit. I mean, they don't have the cast of players like the Philippines or, you know, Chinese Taipei or Poland, but it seems like since they really have got involved in 9-ball, they've improved so much, and they can have a couple players that will definitely fool you.
Well, I mentioned this fact, stat, call it what you will, yesterday. In 2006, Team Vietnam got to the semi-final of the World Cup.
Now look at this touch here. Super nice. People don't realize about pool, which of course similar to golf in many ways, but sometimes it's about power, but then, you know, the other half of the time it's about having a deft touch, and you got to have everything in between. You know, shots you never really practice come up, just a lot of instincts involved. Okay, mild kick here. You ain't going to kick it this very hard. You want to keep accuracy, plus you have a lot of ways to get safe with all those balls there. A lot of people don't realize what the mild kick does for you a lot of times. It doesn't have to leave a shot. Like I said, a lot of times you keep accuracy a lot better on your kick shot with the mild one. And a lot of times, again, you're just trying to lengthen the game, get another chance at the table. All right, going to float this to the rail. I'm hoping you won't be jumping at that. We'll be going to the top rail, 2 rails at the 1. A lot of good things that can happen again. A lot of congestion here. So he should kick to the top rail. I think, anyways. He's going to kick. This is surprising to me. I don't see how this could be the kick shot at all. You're kicking to a ball that's smaller. If you go up to the top rail, then the long side rail, you come down at a much bigger 1 ball, and you're kicking towards congestion. This shot here, I'm not sure what the safety in mind is. If you make it, you're going away from the 2. This is very surprising to me, Phil. This is a guy that I label rarely makes a mental error, and I think this is a bit of a mental error.
And with the elevation of the bridge being used like that, it's so easy to impart some unwanted side spin, and it's like threading the eye of a needle.
Yeah, and he's got an open, just kick right up by that chalk at the top rail, so he'll probably make it, though. Oh, what a hit. What a hit. Now, the one thing he was thinking is if I do hit it, unless it hangs over the pocket, Chua's going to have to make one heck of a shot to get positioned down on the 2. So, I was wrong, I think. He's thinking at a higher level, a more professional level that, hey, yeah, I might not hit it. But if I do hit it, I get a lot more value this way. And it would have been hard for me to kick that way, Phil, but you proved me wrong.
It's like those golf on-course commentators when they say, oh, we shouldn't be going with driver here. Might go in that left-hand bunker, and then they sail it over the bunker by about 50 yards.
Yeah, the one that gets me with the golfers is when they're super short-sighted, and they go for the most nervy shot ever and pull it off. Something that could cost them 3 strokes maybe if something bad goes wrong. Okay, I think I like overcutting the 1 to the right side rail, putting it near the 4, trying to run the cue ball. He may be going offensive. I don't know if the cue ball will get all the way back down. Wow, what a stroke. And now he's carried a perfect angle to have options on the 3. And again, just like I talked about it a moment ago, how incredible this game is that, when they get an easy starter, they get in position. These guys are so good, they don't have to make a lot of tough shots, but then they're faced with that at the start of the rack they have to come with. All right, needs this off the rail. Oh, he's perfect.
Just thinking, this is a winner's qualification match to reach the last 64. If this was the final, no one would raise an eyebrow.
No, and it very well could be later in the week. Because I'll tell you, though, of course, we're seeing all these great matchups in this, final 64 winner side match that'll get to the final 32 and make half our field for the single elimination. But later on, that loser's qualification is going to look pretty darn tough, too. We're going to lose some great players. Taking on the thin cut, so he should catch a couple rails coming up and down the table.
Well, and this we did not anticipate. Has he been lucky with that kiss off the 6?
I think the only way the luck is going to help Chua is maybe get in position on the 6. That could be definitely tricky. See him elevating the cue. It's the type of table with the slick table that if he adds a little left English to this, he may deflect and really not move much off the 4 at all. I think what he wants to do is just catch as much cut on the 4 as he can with some draw stroke. Is he drawing this straight back? Well, that's going to be fun to watch if that's the case. But we talk about it every tournament that the tables are going to get tougher as the event moves on. Look at this shot. Wow. Great shot. So that tells you couldn't get to any of the left side of the pink 4 to move it, you know, using the rails for position. Had to take it on, drawing the cue ball from some 9 feet away. Might use the 9 here. And of course, our final 64 Signal of the Nation will start tomorrow. So whoever wins this match has the rest of the day off. Get some practice in, regroup. Probably, you know, sweat some of their countrymen trying to qualify as well. Whoever loses is going to have to win another match, and undoubtedly it's going to be a tough one.
That will be a source of relief to Ko Pin-Yi. Things were going against him for a while there, but Johann Chua's run of 3 consecutive rack wins has been interrupted. Ko Pin-Yi back in front at 4-3. So losers round 3 going on around this arena. Margaret Fefilova 3-2 upon Mustafa Alner. Liu Ri-Teng, also from Chinese Taipei, like Ko Pin-Yi, 5-2 up on Ernesto Dominguez, the father of Oscar Dominguez, who could well be on the US Mosconi Cup team this year. Marcel Price from Wales, 4-1 up on the Italian Francesco Candela. 3-3 Corey Jewell, Joe Spence. 4-3 now John Morra over the young Finn, Riku Rompainen. 4-1 for Tony Robles over Sylvania Liu from Singapore, the female player. And Imran Majid looks in control. 5-1 up on Long Win. Now remember, losers round 3, as indeed is losers round 2, a race to 8. This, on the winner's side, of course, a race to 9.
Oh, a friendly kiss on the 2 ball. I think he came away with a shot. We'll know in a moment, but very consistent with the 1. Been very consistent with the cue ball, zigzagging back and forth. See that friendly kiss on the 2, and I think he's got a shot. Yeah, definitely has a shot, and a good one. Probably comes up above the 5 here. Definitely has room to do so. Could stay below the 5. The only thing is he doesn't want to, you know, of course get snookered behind the 5 ball, but a lot of times when you're trying to make sure of that, you end up a little short and a little thin on the 3, so just got to make a clear-cut decision. Looks like he's going to draw the ball, so he's a little worried about that small angle he has and going forward with it. Just about a foot of draw, maybe. Oh, no. And man, the camera does fool us a lot, but it looked like he could go forward on this shot, which is always going to have more control than draw. Now, the one thing is I think he was trying to draw more towards the 5 than behind the 5. So a big mistake at a huge moment.
After that negative, one positive to report. Another member of the Ko pool playing dynasty, Ko Ping-Han, has already won his match. He's beaten Elliot Sanderson 8-0 a whitewash for Sanderson, who represented GB in the World Cup of Pool this year.
Yeah, I actually spoke with Elliot a little bit yesterday after everything was done. He seemed like he was in a good place, excited to get on the one-loss side, and I'll tell you, after that early loss from the young co-brother, he's put it together.
And Koping Han will now play in losers round 3, either Joey Tate or Christina to catch. 4-2 for to catch there. Oh yeah, the positional error could well cost him dear.
Yeah, and it's something that, you know, the co-brothers and all the top pros, really the position errors is the ones they don't like. Missing balls, I mean, of course, that's not fun either, but that's going to happen. Tough shots. But so good with the cue ball normally. Very smart between the ears. Doesn't have that mistake very often. Koping. Now, it looks like that Chua's not even going to draw this back. He's going to play the 4 on the side, maybe. Oh, no, he came backwards. I like that a lot better than laying underneath to a tricky side pocket.
He missed the 4 into this pocket in rack 7, but you can't see a repeat. You can't imagine it.
No, and this is where maybe the camera's fooling us a little bit. It looks like to me he can just pinch this and hold for the 5 in the same corner pocket. When you're close to it, you can really manipulate this angle and slow the cue ball down. Now the thing is, it's not the most fun shot. If you're nervous, looks like he's going to work the rock now.
I love the way you said that, Jeremy. Work the rock.
Yeah, pool room lingo is probably some of the best in all the sports. And you can see how Johann is a lot different than the old school Filipinos. Really simple with the swing. Not that pump action. But again, a lot of those players from years ago, they started playing in outdoor pool tables there in the Philippines, you know. They had to really create power, or what they felt like was creating power, but much different these days.
The cue ball disobeyed Kopin Yi, and the indirect result, Johann Chua back on level terms. It was 3-3. They're inseparable again at 4-4 in a match that's living up to expectations. Now let's give you some losers round 3 scores, which is a little more advanced down the line. Imran Majid 5-2 upon Long Win. Tony Robles 4-1 on Sylvania Liu. I can give you the first result of the day, which has just come in. Liu Ri Teng from Chinese Taipei has defeated Ernesto Dominguez 8-2. Marcel Price from Wales going nicely also, 5-1 up on Francesco Candela. Wales has produced many a world snooker champion, the likes of Mark Williams, Terry Griffiths, and the great Ray Reardon, 6 times world champion, who celebrated his 90th birthday last week.
Yeah, well, right before that break, I was wondering if Chua maybe changed sides. He's missed the 1, now 3 consecutive, maybe 4. Yeah, 3 consecutive, I believe. He almost fluked the 9 in the side again, which he's had one of those, but especially when he's watching his opponent, Koping Yi, break from the other corner of the box and making the 1 pretty much every time. So we'll see maybe if he sticks with it or changes. Always a difficult rollout at this level. Do you bump the 3 maybe? Bump the 3 to the rail, you know, near the side pocket, just leaving a little piece of the 1. The problem is you have to have something in mind because good chance you get that back. He wants to make the 3 as difficult as possible. I thought he would bump it a little closer to that point on the side, and I wouldn't doubt he gets this back. It doesn't appear the 1 plays off the 6.
Been one of those matches, Jeremy, where nothing easy is presenting itself for either player. They have to really scrap for everything, don't they?
Yeah, and there are 2 players that aren't going to give up much easy either, usually. I mean, we've had a couple of mistakes that have led to some easy returns, but this is where, you know, I think the rollout, you have to roll out to a piece of the 1, but you have to be pretty set on what you're going to do if you do get it back, and that's the concern I had. You may have to really float this, trying to edge the 1, and just like I say sometimes, use your talent, your skill, and your touch to lay the cue ball down behind the 6. They like to drag the ball a lot, and what that is it starts off with a backspin, ends up turning over, becomes a roll. Touch was off.
That corner of the table not proving kind for Ko Pin Yi. First it was a self-imposed snooker in rack 8, and now the safety error in the 9th.
Yeah, and that's why I thought he may. Oh, this is going to end up much shorter than it should have been. And with the 9-ball there, coming back and forth is difficult. And I did think that Ko Pin Yi would push the 3-ball on that rollout into a little tougher position. But now Chua has made this a little difficult. He's going to try and kill it with inside. And this has a huge part to how the 2 hits the pocket. If it hits a little thick, could have problems with the 9. Could fluke the 9 too, though. Oh, he hit it thick, all right.
That was a poor positional shot, wasn't it? He had plenty margin for error, and to drop there was aggravating for him, surprising for us.
Yeah, well, you and I have talked about it on many occasions that, you know, the best in the world, it seems like, when the nerves are high, it's the underhits that's the problem. And that's certainly what got him there on that 1-ball. That was a pretty routine run out, even though there was a lot of work.
Overwhelmingly so this week, Jeremy. I'm sure you'll agree. Certainly on these 2 tables we've been concentrating on, if you do see a positional error, far more often than not, it's underhits.
Yeah, it's just common. I'm not sure exactly why that is. I think mainly because, you know, pro caliber players don't really bang at the ball. So, you know, they kind of got that out of their system a long time ago. So sometimes just not releasing the cue is the issue for the better players. Again, when we're talking about trying to win the greatest title in the world. Big swerve shot here. Can't have much speed. You got to let it grab. It looks like to me, excuse me, he's got to play the 2 into the 7 and hold him behind the 6. He could cut the 2 and go to the rail back behind the 6 and 8 if he wanted to get the 2 a little further away from the cue ball. Otherwise, I think you just keep it simple here. The 2's going to go into the 7, just kind of stun over behind the 6. And the reason why he didn't like that as much is if he doesn't get him right on the ball, he knows he's going to leave him a very doable kick shot. Surprised he's looking. Oh, well, that's a great camera angle there. That's why he's looking across, because he can't get at it. off the rail he's standing near. Now this shot here you won't hit super hard either. Not really light, kind of right in the middle. I think the 2 did open up for a shot in the upper left-hand corner. Nice kick shot here. Had a chance to get lucky.
But the 3's been opened. So if this goes in, the table's been opened.
Yeah, after a mistake, easy to hit that thick, but he's remedied that mistake earlier on that position. Now a little funny on the 3, not a lot of angle to get across, but there is a little bit of angle to where it's hard to get short side, so he's going to have to put some speed on this. Yeah, he would like to have been to where he could just draw up the table. Now he's going to have to go forward, probably a couple rails between the 7-9. Don't think this isn't the type of shot you want to shoot with top inside very often. Not on the slick table. Sometimes it won't grab, so I figure a little more of a stun shot here. 2 rails. He's gotten off the rail with the cue ball, has a little angle. Should be okay to take his lead here in game number 9. Yeah, I think I draw this maybe, but he's going to go forward. He's at the table, so there must be more angle than I thought. Easily get to the rail and back behind by the 9.
Important moments as Chua tries to hit the front for the first time in the match. And hit the front, he does. Remember, Ko Pin Yi led 3-0, now he trails by 5 racks to 4. So let's get you up to date with some scores from losers round 2. Badr Al-Awadi now 6-1 upon Rami Al-Kuba. Matt Kra from here in the USA taking on a fellow countryman, Robert Frost, 3-3. Nikos Economopoulos is on the hill against Pedro Botta at 7-4. Also on the hill, how about this? Dang Than Kien from Vietnam, 1 rack away from eliminating Mika Immonen, the US Open champion, back-to-back in 2008 and 2009. Not a happy tournament so far for Mika. Over on table 2, which you can watch on the Matchroom Pool YouTube channel, as always, Christina to catch now 5-3 up on the 17-year-old from North Carolina, Joey Tate. As for losers round 3 matches, Imran Majid, a couple of racks away from victory, 6-2 ahead against Long Nguyen. Tony Robles 4-1 up on Sylvania Liu. And a couple of players on the hill. Michael Schneider from Switzerland. He's 7-3 up on Yuri Vertaranta, who could well have beaten Francisco Sanchez Ruiz yesterday. And John Morra 7-3 up on the 14-year-old from Finland, Riku Rompainen. And talking about table 2, let's just take a quick glimpse over there. Christina Tkach, who is the partner of Fedor Gorst, who around the world this year has won more prize money than anyone else. I was looking at his record today, Jeremy, before we came on air. Now, he's won some head-to-head contests, just a challenge match kind of thing, which has boosted his prize money considerably. But if you look at actual tournaments, he's won 18 of them, all around the USA. And traveling and triumphing.
Yeah, and can't replace that match time either. I think, you know, Federer, a guy that, again, gets very involved in himself. So even if he's playing in some of those tournaments early in them as a heavy favorite, still does him wonders, you know, putting in that match time. And same thing for Christina. I mean, it's for what they've had to go through in the pool world and, of course, the real world. They've made the most of it, and you got to be pretty impressed with it.
Yeah, I think that was the point I was making, that Christina has been there with Fedor playing in these tournaments and travelling around, and she's battle-hardened and looks very good there.
Yeah, a guy that I've kept my eye on is Canadian Vincent Beaurivage after we had him yesterday, and he's still hanging around the tournament, up 5-2 against a Chinese Taipei player, so has definitely improved since that first loss he took 2 days ago.
Yeah, he's out on table 16 against Cheng Longlin.
And again, he can't be stubborn, I don't think. He's missed the one. I don't think he's made the one in the side at all on any of his breaks from, you know, the left side of the table, their left side of that box. I would have to switch, I think, especially seeing my opponent make the one pretty much every time. Now, what Ko Ping Yi is looking at right here is banking the one to our right side of the purple 5 and the 3, and then using the 4 to slow the cue ball down. He wants the one to end up on the middle of the end rail-ish here on the bottom of your screen. And like I said, try to use the 4 to slow the cue ball down. Plays pretty natural, actually. Only thing is you need a solid contact on the 4. Could slide off of it and scratch, but I doubt it. You know, see the cue ball going towards that corner. Did give up a look at the one, though.
Over the course of the first 2 days on table 1, Jeremy, we've seen quite a few runaways. This is not a runaway, this is a pitch battle. 2 players giving nothing away.
Yeah, the first 2 days we look for some of those stories that are going to build. We look for a mild upset here and there and, you know, some tension-filled matches. But we all know that day 3 is where the real competitive matches start. And like I said, like Phil and Carl like to talk about, the business end of the tournament really gets started. A lot of tension in this room today. Much different, I think, than the first 2 days. And it's just kind of touchy as well. I think he'll play the 1 up above the 6 and try and bring the cue ball using the 8 as a blocker, maybe. He tried to play it up. He's got to avoid this point. And he did for the most part. So
tell you a result from table 4. Badr Alawadi from Kuwait has comprehensively defeated the Lebanese player Rami Al-Kuba 8-1.
You talk about another country that's really coming up through the ranks, Kuwait. Badr plays great, Omar, of course, Abdullah, but many more, actually. Right there, traveling to the events, improving all the time. Definitely can't be overlooked anymore. Touchy shot here. He's got to kind of shoot through it a little bit, avoid the point, come back on the 3 with the cue ball. See how he caught the point there and it kind of held the cue ball. So didn't get the most out of the safety he wanted. Did get the snooker, though. Skylar Woodward going to have one heck of a match in a battle this afternoon against Moritz from Germany. Talked to Ralph, of course, met Moritz and finished 4th at the Sandcastle this last weekend in one heck of a field. And a few of them told me that's kind of the next guy in line coming from Germany. I mean, hard to say that with Filler only at, what, 23 years old or something like that. But Germany, when the great players come from Germany, they're no joke.
Oh, what a shot that was. Please don't go in. Oh, the 6 ball deflected it away. But position, well, not what he desired, but terrific pot.
Yeah, very good. And I was wondering if he was going to bang the one around. He had an opportunity to just hit it right in the face and could probably get a pretty good safety out of it. But these guys, man, they want to stay aggressive, and that's what makes them so good.
Talking about Filler and Germany, Joshua Filler is up next on table 1. Our first view of him in the main arena. He takes on Masato Yoshioka in the winners' qualification. But I think they're going to have to wait a while. You get the feeling this could go to the wire.
Yeah, it seems, like I said, we've seen some racks run. We've seen breaks that look like, oh, these guys are really figuring it out. It's just never going to be like that. I think you're going to have matches where you have a lot of breaking runs, but overall it's going to be trying to battle for that first shot. That's the kick that's missed the most. I really think the second rail is going to take a lot of spin, and it just doesn't do it. Hey, with ball in hand, you can travel one rail for the 3 in the side. Nothing wrong with that. Of course, the 3 in the corner is easy as well. That holds you for the 4. And ball in hand, you can get in that prime position to where there's not really a danger coming up for the side. Oh, he's going to catch the 3. He kind of punched the ball, and he'll be really lucky to have a pocket. That was a huge mistake with ball in hand. And Johann, which I never really see this, is a little unsettled, I think. Even with a 5-4 lead, Phil.
Yeah, I think, strangely, they both are.
I think you're right.
Well recovered, though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well recovered.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I said with ball in hand, you might come up for the side. I personally like the corner on the 3 ball. Don't like to travel the cue ball unnecessarily, but ball in hand, I didn't see an issue happening, but a nice recovery there. Now, I think Koping took his time out at a wise time, and you always want to use them whether things are going in a good manner or not so good. But maybe Chua does the same here pretty soon. The
one thing Chua wins on, that shirt. Like that. If he's wearing that in the dark winter nights, there's no chance of him getting knocked down.
Well, the funny thing is, you know, you can see the nerves are a little unsettled, right? We haven't even gotten to the shot clock side of things. You know, it almost looked like Chua was looking up like, am I running behind? But there's no shot clock yet. But things will change when that, you know, enters the event as well. Could get a little elevated. No, he's okay.
Two balls away from winning 6 of the 7 most recent racks. Remember, he was 3-0 down. Copigny made a bright start. Oh, the heart would have skipped a beat. Delayed reaction. Stuck on the brim.
Yeah, I don't know how that ball fell, really. That was hit very thickly.
And on such fine margins do matches turn. What a moment for Johann Chua. He must have thought for a split second he'd missed that 8 ball. As it was, it went in, and now he's got a couple of racks ahead at 6-4. Here's the ball in question, Jeremy.
Yeah, he knew it. He jumped up immediately when he struck the cue ball. And one thing about Chua that's a little different than most technique-wise is he doesn't really pause at the cue ball prior to the last swing. And when nerves are high, I see the timing can get a little unsettled when you don't have that pause at the cue ball. And I think we're seeing a bit of that here, even though he did get it down. And most of these players figure it out, you know, even in the midst of a match, but definitely not 100% calm right now. And he is switching sides, and he's gone away from the open hand bridge. I think this is a smart move. And there's the one in the side. I'm surprised it took him that long to change, even though he did lose the cue ball.
Now that was the pool gods taking their revenge. If you saw the cue ball here, watch how it stood on the lip of the pocket like the 8 ball in the previous rack. Thought about it and then dropped.
I'll tell you, never really saw that face on Copigny, the one I just saw a moment ago, almost like he's a little disgusted with the way he's feeling. Maybe not the outcome of the shots, but just not happy, maybe not, you know, being as confident as he normally is. And personally, I've never seen that face he just displayed a moment ago. Maybe just having a little mini talk with himself to, hey, suck it up. You know, I'm one of the best in the world. And I can almost see it because he's not taking as much time as he normally would either, right? It's kind of like, let's just get on with it.
That was a perfectly timed opportunity. Precisely what Copigny required. The gap is reduced to 1. Johann Chua scratched, and now he only leads 6-5. Couple more results for you from losers round 3. Stephen Holm from Canada has beaten David Dyer from here in the USA 8-4. Michael Schneider coming through 8-3 against Jiri Virtaranta. And Riku Rompainen. The run of the 14-year-old Finn is over. He's been beaten 8-3 by John Morra. Imran Majid also on the hill against Lung Win at 7-4. Tayfun Tabar in the all-German match against Marco Dorenberg has just won 8-3.
He's been super consistent with the 1 and the cue ball, diving just below the 9, coming back and forth. The 3's hanging, so he may take on a bit more of a risky shot on the 2 since position not really that needed. Can he cut the 2 on the side? I think he can. I think it's time to go. Try and put a little heat on Chua and run a rack or 2. Gotta let the cue ball, you know, just kind of move up and down the table here. Probably contacts another ball of some sort. I don't like spinning this. I like just flat chopping this in. Oh, super thin and really nice with the cue ball.
Yes, the 9 was the buffer, and now it looks as though we should be all square again.
Like I said a moment ago, I think he had a little mini talk with himself that, hey, this is what I do every day. Kind of getting into my own way, maybe mentally. So, try and play a little worry-free. Easier said than done, though.
The great snooker player Steve Davis, who once spotted the winning ball in the Moscone Cup and had deep runs in the World Championship as well in pool. Quite often when he was getting bogged down, you used to see this, he played at a much faster rate than he normally would, and far more often than not it worked.
Yeah, it's like, you know, sometimes you can get between the ears, you can, kind of shark yourself, make things more difficult than they really are. And I played Steve many a times in the Moscone. For some reason, I drew him a lot, it seemed like. And, of course, he didn't play too fast there. But I do get it. Corey Deuel would do that back in the day a lot. If you were robbing Corey or if things weren't going his way, he would definitely pick up the pace. And a lot of times, he'd start to make a comeback on you.
For the third time here, it's all tied up. 3-3, 4-4, and now 6-6. That's 4 losers, round 2. Some more scores for you. Nikos Economopoulos through, staving off the Pedro Botta recovery. Economopoulos led 7-3, in the end relieved to get over the line at 8-6. And Dang Van Kien from Vietnam has defeated Mika Immonen by 8 racks to 4, so the double US Open champion from a little over a decade ago is going home.
Yeah, talked about Mika the other day. I said that it seemed like even though he's been putting in the time, it still takes that first match early in the tournament to, that first good match, whether it be the first round, second round, kind of needs that to maybe get that good feeling, good confidence, but it wasn't his event this year. And I think if he sticks to it, though, we're going to see Mika make some noise in a big event soon. Huge shot on the 3 here, 6-6.
Three other winners' qualification matches just getting underway. Jonas Suter Camino against Mieszko Fortunski. Chris Melling against David Al-Kaidi. And a player who really has caught my eye thanks to the advice of Jeremy Jones to watch him. Jesus Atencio. He's taking on Gregory Hogue.
Sweetly struck there, and interesting little shot here. Just didn't ever touch a rail, just center cut. As he can play the 4 off the rail, off the 6 into the pocket. I think he'll size that up, because what that does is I think that leaves him the angle to draw up the table for the 5 in the upper right. It does go in both pockets, the 5 ball. The thing about that shot that I'm talking about, of course you don't want to baby it, but you don't want to hit it with a ton of speed. You don't want the ball kind of hopping, getting in the air a little bit. Anything can happen down by the pocket with the 4 and 6. You know, if you hit it, like I said, with a lot of speed, you'd like to hit it just a nice, like, medium, kind of open the pocket up. Oh, he played the combo. Good shot, smart shot.
We talk about the skills of these Ko brothers. Now, I told you a while ago that Ko Ping Han had beaten Elliot Sanderson. Well, a little more information is coming through. He won 8-0. He broke and ran 6 racks.
Well, that's what I saw in his first match against, was it Lucas? But really, he ran the first few racks at the beginning of the match. Lucas got control, and Lucas kind of just returned the favor. All right, a little tricky here. Just speed control with the cue ball. Should get up behind the 5 for the side or the corner. Doesn't want to lay on the rail, though. That's why I was saying speed control is important. If he can get an extra few inches off the rail, it makes the shot on the 5 just that much more doable. Definitely not easy. But I can tell he's just kind of wanting to get on with it. That's thick. Yeah.
The telltale sign of the butt of the cue being dropped onto the carpet in disgust.
Yeah, and you can tell he's trying to settle himself, Phil. He just can't quite get it. It's been a couple shots like that, hit very thickly, that have been 2 huge misses. And these guys know it's the qualification. They know they don't have to worry about a 1-loss side match if they can get this one down. First match of the day, huge match. You can figure nerves should be there.
And this is going to be the kind of pool we're going to see from here on in. Not just today, but for the next 3 days as well. Highly competitive. The times when giants of the game would take on minnows and win easily. That's been consigned to day 1 and 2 history.
Yeah, that's why I've been easily distracted. That's the main reason. Is just look around. Oh yeah, there's another champion. Oh yeah, there's another champion. When's he play? Who's he play? I mean, it's just story after story, and great everywhere you look.
It is, but not so great for Ko Pin Yi, who now is 2 racks away from defeat. Johann Chua back in front once more at 7-6. Another result for you from losers round 2. Marco Tutor from Holland. He's beaten Lefteris Georgiou from Cyprus 8-5. Match you're going to be interested in, Jeremy. Tomitaka Koji from Japan locked together with Josh Roberts at 5-5. Kenny Donald from Canada 6-4 up on Jamal Usi. And Christina Tkach still on the hill against Joey Tate at 7-4.
Yeah, I like him staying. Of course, he made balls. Just got to take care of the cue ball. Put a little more into the rack. Of course, hence the closed bridge. That makes sense. Did make 2 on the break last time. Oh, he's missed the 1. He got a ball down, though. So he'll have the first opportunity at what looks like a safety coming. The 8's just a big ball here. He'd like to chip the left side of the 1 and run the cue ball a couple rails behind all those balls, but the 8's just kind of in the way. Now he's going to look to go between the 3 and the 8. I think he's supposed to. I think there's, you know, enough reward to take the chance on chipping the left side of the 1, going between the 8 and 3, all the way back down behind the 6, 2, 4, and 9. Easy. Could catch the 3 or the 8 trying to execute this shot. Now, when you look at this, even though, of course, you're not in love with it because there is some problems, just imagine it like this. You wouldn't want your opponent being able to shoot this shot on you, right? So you just go in there with a lot of confidence, knowing you can execute this. Doesn't want the 1 to hang over the pocket. That should come 2 rails out. He didn't get it to lengthen. Watch out, cue ball. And he's going to leave a shot. And we'll see after a miss on a much easier 5 ball the last time he was at the table if Ko Ping Yi can regroup.
Yeah, this is the kind of shot that you don't really look forward to when you're a little low on confidence, and clearly Ko Ping Yi is low. Then again, if you can knock it in, confidence can soon return.
Yeah, usually actually one of his bread and butter shots, a little more full hit from some distance, even near the rail with the cue ball, usually takes care of these. Yeah, he's definitely off. Timing's off a little bit, not settled at all, and it's just amazing the stationary sports, you know. You and I are both golf fans, of course, but you look at a guy, he shoots, you know, 8 under one day, and you just wonder how he can go out the next day and shoot 1 or 2 over. And it's kind of the same thing in pool. It just doesn't take much, you know. You get a little mentally off, and things become much more difficult.
And that's why top-level players in individual sports spend a lifetime of insecurity, because you never know what's going to happen from one day to the next. You can be in the zone, and then you can be in the doldrums.
Yeah, well, you know, golf, I look at it all the time to where, okay, yeah, I can see that guy doing that, but it really happens to all of them, the top guys in the world, all the way down, and that's what we're seeing here. This is going to fall funny near the rail with an awkward 4 ball. Very funny. We're going to have to see him let a stroke out here, I believe. I think he's full enough on the 3 he can shoot it. Oh, maybe not. He's looking for the other corner now. So I thought he could shoot it and follow to the bottom rail, but I guess he can't. Of course, these players talk about it all the time, how they stay aggressive. So I thought he could go this way and come all the way to the bottom rail and up, but maybe there's a hair too much angle and the scratch is a problem. So now he's sizing up a cross-side bank on the 4. One thing, if he plays it to the lower left, it's a difficult shot, of course, but he should have action opening up the 4 and 9. The problem is, if he got to shoot the 3 with a little more speed, I think he's pretty comfortable with it. It could slide in, but he's got to hit it light, so that means you have to actually hit it better, a little more perfect to the pocket. Oh, that ball kicked. That ball kicked big time.
Yeah, undoubtedly, and they always do so thick. Same thing in snooker. If you have a kick or a skid, that's where you will miss it on the thick side.
Yeah, that's right. Object ball just carries with the direction the cue ball's moving. And I'll tell you, Ko Ping Yi, Usually doesn't take many reprieves or many second chances for him to get going, but you could tell he didn't like the cue ball there. Now he's got to get short side on the 6. Good thing for him. The 8's pretty handy, so getting just some decent position on the 7 after position on the 6 should be okay. Problem like this kind of shot is when you have to play short side is if you have balls later in the rack that are difficult, that's where it starts to really add up. Here he got a little thin again. Maybe a subtle kick on the ball there as well. Yeah, the 9's a big ball here. He may go into the 9, just trying to keep it simple and play the percentage. Just because it looks like that's the most settled way to make this ball high with a hair of outside English. Doesn't sit that great to go up and down the table because the cue ball is going to want to kind of arc a little bit and go towards the 8 off that second rail.
Already, I think, the lengthiest match we've seen on table 1 in this tournament, and one of the most intriguing. He's okay in both regards.
And he knew there was an element of risk there, but like I said, it was a more comfortable way to pocket the 6. Be pretty hard luck to hit the 9. Exactly right to be snookered behind shooting at the 7. So you could tell he wasn't in love with it, but I think that was the correct play.
Here we are again. This formality of a 9 ball for all square. 3-3, 4-4, 6-6, and now 7-7. This race to 9 has been distilled into a race to 2 from here. Alan Rosado on the hill against Rick Miller at 7-4. Ronaldo Dundee Arena 6-4 up on Tyrrell Blowers. These are all matches in the losers round 2. Tommy Takakoji and Josh Roberts locked together at 6-6. Kenny Donald 6-5 upon Jamal Usi. And Christina Tkach still waiting for victory against Joey Tate. It was 7-4. Now though, Tate is pulled it back to 7-5. Still in there with a fighting chance.
Yeah, and Eagle Eye and Robbie Capito have just started as well in the winner's qualification round, along with a couple other matches. Dennis Grabe in the box. Dennis Grabe kind of, no one's really talked about him much this week, and he's looking to hoist a huge trophy sometime soon. A grinder.
Let me quickly give you 2 other results from losers round 3. Imran Majid, who's gone deep in this US Open before. He's beaten Long Nguyen 8-5. Chris Alexander, an 8-7 winner over Mark Vidal. And Marcel Price has prevailed 8-3 over Francesco Candela.
Yeah, and here we go again with a tough layout. Difficult 2 ball, but look at the 3. Where do you go for position? Do you take a long combo on the 3-5? Certainly going to go offensive of some sort on the 2 to maybe play a safety on the 3. He's trying to get on that combo. And now definitely a safety. You wouldn't see him shooting at this. He's happy to come clean there and have the opportunity to play that safe. Now he's looking at that combination. Wow. Must be lined up pretty nice to where he just kind of feels like he plays the 3 to the pocket and lets the 5 get in the way.
Saw Shane Van Boning play a very similar shot to this yesterday, and he didn't pull it off.
Oh, great shot there. And I'll tell you what, as much as he struggled at times in this match, and you can tell mentally he knows it, sign of a champion to go ahead and pull the trigger on a combination like that at 7-7 in such a crucial moment. And then again, another sign of the champion is to pull it off. Okay, he's coming across the 9, so just make sure, you know, a little miss hit on the cue ball. You could involve that side pocket a little bit. Hit the 3 a little thick to the hole. Could have a side pocket problem. So just got to stay clean with it. Maybe a hair of right English.
Of course, it's not do or die. This is on the winner's side, so the loser will go and have a second chance on the loser's side later. But win today, win here, and you're into the last 64.
Yeah, that's the more comfortable stroke there, making sure he gains that angle. Even if he catches a little thin. Koping really usually pretty clean with this one, coming across past the side. And that's where the timing is so key. Just really good at that shot, and one he obviously practices a lot, comes up in big moments. Should get to the hill first.
In terms of quality, we've seen him play so many matches to a higher standard than this. But in terms of battling qualities, you can't fault him. He's in front again, regained the advantage at 8-7. And of course now he's on the hill. Lots of other winner qualification matches have started now. Robbie Capito, as Jeremy said, 1-0 up on Johann Chua. Jonas Suter Camino and Mieszko Fortunski have shared the first 2 racks. Chris Melling, that fine cueist from the UK, he leads David Al-Qaidi from Spain 3-1. And Abdullah Al-Yusuf from Kuwait has taken the opening rack against Met Vergara from the Philippines. It's a term I hate being used in golf because it's overused, moving day. But this really is moving day here. This is the day when over 100 players will be eliminated.
Yeah, and really the other ones settle in a bit more. They're going to be in more competitive matches than they did the first 2 rounds. A little different heart rate, a little different feelings overall. Much more of what they expect for the rest of the event. I'm looking to end it right here without Chua coming to the table. There's the 1 on the side. The 2's coming up table. Looks like the cue ball is going to come free. He's going to get a shot to do that. Now can he pull it off?
Can he close the deal? It would be mixed emotions, I think, if he did. He'd be delighted with the result and be very happy with his attitude. But I think he will then, after a short break, head to the practice table.
Yeah, and I think, you know, the more and more I'm around pool without playing it as much or helping others, and I think I did this in my career, I think anyways, I'd like to say so, is I think you have to take, you know, the positive and, I hate to say the bad, but the constructive things away from each match. And I'm sure that the Coe brothers and Copenhagen do that. You know, sometimes maybe we need our running mate, whatever that may be, to be the positive side of things for us. But he'll think about the mistakes he made. But if he can get through this, I'll tell you one thing, it may bode very well for him, because remember the combination he made in the last rack. I mean, he had to take a deep swallow right there and kind of stay positive and pull the trigger. And got to do the same thing here on a tough 2-ball.
Hesitation. Hesitation again. Now down on the shot. But he can't quite commit yet.
No, he's sized it up a few different ways. Pulling the ball with low outside or a high ball. I kind of like the high ball myself, but hard to fault either way. Oh, he played it nicely. He pulled it, and it's going to slow down nicely.
Another huge step towards victory, and let me quickly tell you, on table 2, victory is Christina Tkach's. She has beaten Joey Tate 8-5.
And hats off to Joey Tate. Pleasure to watch him play, and he'll be back in plenty of U.S. Opens. Don't know if he's in the junior event that also starts today. He is. Okay, now sizing up the 7.
The tension out there is thick. And this is only winner's qualification.
Well, I think the fans, you know, they start to realize that these guys are human as well, and how big the moment is. Just the entire combination of things really make you realize how much of a sport professional pool really is. A bunch of guys trying to make history this week. And it starts right here, getting these last 4 balls down and on into that final 64 in single elimination. Ooh, that needs to slow down. This could get tricky. You may have to follow this up beyond the 8. That's the smart play from here, rather than elevating the cue. Either's okay, but I think this guy here, he'll level out and go beyond the 8. No, he's going to elevate. Wow, that's surprising. I mean, you know, in normal circumstances, I think elevation is what you would do at your pool room, but here I thought he may level out. He hit that sweet, though.
Johann Chua had his chances. At one point, it looked as though he was the stronger player. But great champions have that uncanny knack of producing when it matters most. Copenhagen is a great champion, and he's come through that match. A real examination with flying colours in the end. He didn't have his best stuff, but he found a way to get over the line, and he did so by winning 9 racks to 7. Well, I think it's one of those matches, Jeremy, where the stats won't be all that impressive. Pot success